Thank you very much, Acting President. I won't take long because my eye is acting up. When I woke up this morning, my left eye was closed. So from time to time, it keeps on closing itself. So the sooner we finish, the better. Acting CJ, now we've got letters from the administration where a minister writes to you in response to the letter that was written to him by Chief Justice Mogoeng. And he indicates in this letter that Chief Justice Mogoeng had recommended J.P. Madondo and Judge Rogers. And he makes an argument that you must give other JPs an opportunity to act, and so on and so on. And then later on, he says to you, please put Madondo and Mlambo to act, without giving any reason why you should drop Roger, who was suggested by Chief Justice Mogoeng. Then you respond to him, and then you indicate that you have received the letter, and you give the background, and you also demonstrate to him that his argument that other JPs are not given an opportunity is neither here nor there, because the following people will give a long list of people who have given an opportunity, including the deputy judge presidents and all of them. And you say that you cannot appoint JP Mulambo because it's late. In the letter there. That point has been made. And then from there, what shocks me is that then when you go to appoint, you appoint J.P. Mulambo and I think
Advocate or Judge and Terralta.
Yeah, yes. You appoint the two, and you have abandoned that argument which you put earlier cogently, that this JP has been given an opportunity, declined before, but it's not true that JPs are not given an opportunity. Here's a long list, and it's also late. Then you leave that argument, you go and appoint Unterhalter and JP Mlambo, and Rogers and Madondo are completely left off.
No, they were not left off.
Yeah.
They acted.
Yes.
They acted.
This is a separate thing.
Yeah. This is what happened. It's different times.
Yes.
So DJP Madondo and Judge Rogers acted. Judge Rogers just finished mid-January, actually, acting.
Yes.
Judge Madondo finished at the end of November, and he had indicated to me that he was not going to be available beyond November.
Who was that?
Judge Madondo.
Okay.
So I probably would have extended his acting appointment just like I extended Judge Rogers' one. But
Yes.
I didn't extend it because he said he was not available for an extension beyond the end of November. But as it turned out, he actually fell ill earlier.
Yes.
And by the end of November, he was not in court because he was in hospital and so on and so on. So they did act. But what I had said to the minister, and I must just say immediately that I haven't had a look at my letter to refresh my memory,
Yes.
but based on my recollection, I had refused to appoint Judge Mlambo at a particular time, and for the reasons that I'd given. But my approach was not that I would never appoint him. My approach was that sometime in the future I can consider him, which is what happened. Yeah.
So we are in agreement that it is not illegal for a minister to suggest that so-and-so must act, but it's something unheard of.
Well, I said I don't want to say anything whether it's legal or not, but I said it's certainly not something that had happened before as far as I know.
Okay. Now, I want to come to a different subject. This Fraser.
Before I beg your indulgence, Chair, before Honorable Malema gets to the different subject, I want to make a follow-up without confusing ACJ. Would you allow me to do that, or do you want him to finish the second subject first?
Would it not be proper because it's his turn?
Okay, it's okay.
He must.
We have
Oh,
all,
no problem, I respect
Yes,
that.
thank you.
I apologize.
we have all waited, Chair, for people to finish before we make follow-ups. So I don't know why is the blood running fast now. Now, Fraser, my worry with Mr. Fraser is that, you know, as head of intelligence, there is a room there at intelligence place called Musanda. It's a room called a grabber room, where all of us, they've got our things that we communicate on phones, emails, anyone they want, especially if you are a judge or a high profile, anyone they so wish to listen to, they listen to. And here is a guy who says, I want to come there and tell you about judges and all that. Did you fear he's got something on you, perhaps, that you said this guy must never ever come here? That we're going to be embarrassed here and won't have capacity to stop him. Because I will tell you, if I was a chairperson of a commission, I will be very interested to hear from a former head of intelligence who's implicated in 9 billion.
Well, I certainly was not scared of anything like that, Commissioner Malema. And if I was scared of anything like that, I probably would not have adopted the approach that I adopted in April when his lawyers came before me, moving that application that I should order the Minister of State Security and SSA to release documents to them. My attitude was the State Security Agency agrees to let you have access to the documents, and you have accepted. So the natural thing for you to do is go there, and then you must come back. And I simply said, because of where we are with the proceedings, I just want you to know that when you do come back, we will have to look at what the situation is like at that time and take it from there. So I was not concerned, but for what it's worth, Mr. Commissioner Malema can say that I tell people who speak to me on the phone that they must assume that there are other people listening. Yeah, so when I speak on the phone, I assume that there are lots of people who are listening that without my permission.
Okay. You know, acting CJ, I'm troubled by this because it's what I'm going to raise in the debate there, that there is no way you will not subpoena a head of intelligence implicated in a 9 billion. I'm not interested in him trying to get other documents to come and help you. That is his voluntary thing. But where he got mentioned so many times, I even lost the count how many times he got mentioned, and so much figures implicating him. You still are not interested in him, and you are fighting corruption. You're trying to expose corruption and the corrupt. Here is a man that worked for the state and worked for a strategic institution which has got a slush fund that not even Auditor General can access it. Gets implicated, we don't subpoena him, we don't compel him. I'm troubled by that. And Wes, he even objects himself. He says, having been implicated so many times, why didn't they subpoena me so that I can respond to these all types of allegations? I'm raising it with you because
Yes.
I'm going to raise it tomorrow during our deliberations.
I think that's fair enough for you to raise it, Commissioner
Thank
Malema.
you.
But I don't think I can add to what I said earlier on, that probably if he had come to, if that what happened when we realized he was not getting the documents had happened much earlier, when the commission still had a lot of time. It may well be that I would have taken a different decision, but we were very close to the end. That is what was problematic.
No, Acting CJ, you are close to the end when he volunteers to come. You are not close to the end when he gets implicated. He gets implicated much earlier.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
So the late coming is when he's now volunteering to come and
Yes.
help you. And you say
Yes.
to him, but I've called for this long time ago.
Yes.
You come very late and you are demanding things here and they are not forthcoming. Therefore, I'll have to proceed. On that one, I said, I agree with you.
Yeah.
My problem is he gets
Earlier.
implicated much earlier. He's
No.
not called.
Yes.
Zizi gets implicated much earlier on 1 million. He's not working for the state. He's in a shack called Little House. He gets called from there or come here and explain, why did you get this money? Yet he never presided over any big deal. If I were to have Zizi or to have Fraser, I will go for Fraser because he presided over the most strategic budget in the department. So that's where my problem comes in because, okay, let's say Fraser, for whatever reason, he didn't come to you and say, I want to help you, like he did much later. It means Fraser was going to be left. Even when he's implicated much earlier, Fraser was not going to be called with also many people implicating him and when you bring amounts together, it's not me, it's him who says 9 billion. How do you get someone implicated on 9 billion and you are not interested in that person?
Well, let's clear that I don't think it's really 9 billion, but let's leave that for aside. There are certain facts here. Mr. Fraser gets implicated, I think, in June or thereabout in 2020. He comes to the hearing with his legal team. His legal team says to his counsel, says to me, we are going to present our case. But that is now, as far as I recall, I hope my recollection is not failing me here. So they leave the commission, certainly as far as my understanding is concerned, on the basis that they are going to do whatever they want to do and then they will come back. Okay? So we don't have to subpoena somebody who says, I will come back, because they are going to prepare whatever they want to prepare and then come back. So we continue with other matters. And then in March, they do come back. But when they come back with an application to say, Chairperson of the Commission, we have asked for documents from SSA because we want to come and give evidence. They are refusing. Can you please make an order and compel them to give us these documents? So the SSA responds and says, but it's not true that we have refused to give you documents. And they put up correspondence. They say, here is a letter of, I don't know whether 5 August 2020 or whatever, in September. They put up letters. They say, we wrote to your lawyer. We invited you. Your lawyer never responded. So we are telling you now that we will give you documents, but we're not sure what documents you actually want. You would have to come to the offices and you can tell us what documents you want. And then he, in response, says, I accept your offer that I should come and get the documents. So that is when they are before me in April. So I then say, well, in the light of this, it means this application where you want me to order SSA to give you documents must just be postponed because they agree and you agree. So you go and find find the documents and come back. And when you come back, I just want to say, depending when it will be when you come back, we will have to see where the situation, where the commission is. So we part on that basis. And then he never comes back. And then the hearings come to an end. Before the hearings come to an end, the Secretary of the Commission writes to the lawyers of both SSA and Fraser, effectively saying, what happened about those documents that you were going to meet and agree upon? Mr. Fraser's lawyer does not respond. The state attorney responds on behalf of SSA and says, we've been waiting for him. We tried to set up some meetings. It didn't work, but we have waited for him. He agreed that he must comply with the regulations if he wants the documents. But up to now, he has not complied with the regulations. So that is what we get told. By that time, it's too late. So that's all I can say.
No, that's fine. I still don't agree. I'll take it up with the commission.
Yes, yes.
ACJ, I see that you have extended a courtesy to President Ramaphosa because the commission is the commission of the president and the office established the commission and was President Zuma. Was the same courtesy extended to the former president? Where you go like you did with the current president? In terms of warm bodies, it's President Zuma who established the commission. Long before all the shenanigans started, the same way, the polite way, you went to the president, you talk to him, you show him whatever, then in the process you say you must come and also testify. Have you tried doing the same thing with President Zuma? President Zuma, that you may not be the president today, but that issue that you left us with is unfolding, is doing very well. At some point we'll want to have you there coming to testify. Because I don't know what was the arrangement or the environment between you and the current president. But courtesy would mean that, you know, that warm type of an approach, brotherly approach to say, well, we're here, and then at some point, please come and do the honorable thing.
Well, I didn't have a meeting with President Zuma. But remember that the current president was, because he was the president, I would meet him from time to time to tell him what was happening in the commission in terms of if there were challenges or if there was to be an extension. So it was one of those occasions when I told him. With regard to President Zuma, I think we wrote a letter to him or to his lawyers. I can't remember whether first to him or to his lawyers straight away, and invited him to come and give evidence. He took quite some time before he made up his mind whether he was going to come or not. Ultimately, he agreed to come. But I can't remember whether after he had agreed or before he agreed, he raised an issue and said, in terms of what rule was I inviting him to come? And I think my response was that this was a courtesy. We were not necessarily going to issue a summons. It was a courtesy. When he did come, he still made an issue about the fact that I had extended the courtesy and not said there should be a subpoena. I had simply written a letter. They made an issue. It was on TV. So they made me get the impression that they did not want me to act in any way other than in terms of the rules. But I'd taken the view that I should do that courtesy to him. I didn't know that he wasn't going to like it.
You have been to President Zuma's apartments or hotel rooms in Durban more than twice through your own statement that you issued. or read in
Please
the...
just repeat, I didn't hear it.
You have been to President Zuma's hotel in Durban more than twice. That's the account you gave in the statement that you read during the recusal application on his invitation.
Well, I know that I remember one time, I don't know if it's twice, I didn't refresh my memory on the statement, but if you say that's what it says, then it must be so.
Yes, and then it was when you were a judge, and then President Zuma invites you to his hotel room twice or more than that, and then you go. Why was he inviting you? What were the issues?
Well, I haven't, does the statement say it was a time when I was a judge? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, let me put it this way. We knew each other, Mr. Zuma and I, so I think he called, or I got a message that he would like to see me. There was, as far as I'm concerned, no reason why I shouldn't agree to see him. I went to see him, but I can't remember, because that was much later, I can't remember what the issues may have been on that occasion. That was quite a long time ago.
No, acting CJ, as a judge called by such a prominent politician to his hotel room, it can't be a matter that you can easily forget. It's a memorable thing. I mean, I remember the day I met Mandela at his house. He said to me, if you want to lead society, you have to cut your stomach. It's too big for a youth president to be a president with a big stomach. And I had to make initiatives to meet that demand. So it's a memorable thing. I can't forget that. You can ask me of any prominent person I met when I was young. I remember that. There's no way I'm going to accept that explanation.
Commissioner Malema, I may have remembered if I was meeting President Mandela. President Zuma, I knew him, we had known each other. As I say, it might have been more than 20 years ago when that particular meeting happened.
Then you went to meet President Zuma again at his... there was one time when I also asked for a meeting with him about the 13th or 14 years ago, when he was still out of government, and I met him in his forest town house in Johannesburg. On that occasion, I wasted to raise with him a matter that I considered of public importance. That was at his house in Forest Town. What is this matter of public interest?
Yes, no, that I can tell you what it was. Firstly, because I remember it, but also because I had a look at his affidavit in response to that statement, and I know that based on what he said in his response, he would not be taking a view that I should not say what that matter was. In a different situation, I might have been concerned whether if I went and had a private meeting with somebody, I would have to then say what we discussed in private. But because he has taken the view which I understood to be that he doesn't mind if I mention it, then I'm going to mention it. This was, I think it may have been 2008. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to check newspapers so I could refresh my memory. What had happened is that there had been some event or function where both you, Commissioner Malema, and Zuma were together. somewhere. And you spoke at that event. Might have been, I don't know if it was a media conference or whatever, I have no recollection, but you spoke, and I think he was sitting next to you. And if I recall correctly, that's the occasion when you said you were prepared to kill for him. I was concerned about that statement insofar as it could bring violence in the country, particularly in terms of the atmosphere at that time. It troubled me, but I was more troubled by the fact that when he stood up to speak, he did not say anything to you to indicate that this was not right, to talk about killing for somebody in the context of whatever the issues were. After some days, I thought, well, I know him. What if this could end up leading to quite some violence? Maybe I should ask him if I can see him and talk about my concern. I made arrangements and he agreed. I went to see him. I told him that I was very concerned because regions, provinces, even a country could be thrown into a lot of violence if leaders do not speak to their supporters and dissuade them from making any statements about violence. I talked to him about the violence that we in KwaZulu-Natal had, which he knew. I think I may have spoken to him about violence in other countries. And I indicated that I was concerned about it as a citizen. I was concerned in case we ended up with violence. I thought that he should have spoken to you. He listened to me, and I give him credit. He understood, but my recollection is that he said he had not spoken to you in public, but he spoke to you in private. That's my recollection. I was simply concerned about the possibility of violence.
I knew that that was the case, and I viewed that as a pure political interference by a judge, because that was a statement made in a political rally. And you left, you went to meet President Zuma to discuss my political position as a judge. And you proceeded to sit on matters where the organization I lead, and I looked at you, the organization I lead came to litigate against President Zuma. You have never indicated to court that you knew President Zuma like that, to a point where you can even discuss political issues with him. On 2 court cases that we brought before the Constitutional Court, you said there, never declared like everybody declares here that they know you in this way or that way. You never said, one of the respondents in this case, I know him like this, to a point where I had a political discussion with him about the leader of this political party. Don't you think that that was unethical for you to go and discuss a political statement with a politician as a sitting judge, 2, to go and listen to court cases involving the 2 politicians without declaring that you know the other side of the case?
Well, no, I don't share that view, Commissioner Malema. This was a concern about a statement made by you at the time, at the age at which you were. As a citizen, I was concerned, and it didn't mean that I had nothing against you. My concern was that he should have dealt with the matter in a certain way because we should not have violence. And I didn't have anything against you, so I wasn't going to be conflicted. I don't know how many years later in hearing a matter involving an organization that you formed many years later. I wasn't going to be conflicted at all.
But ACJ, here is a story that you go and discuss another politician with another politician, and later on, it comes out that this judge who's sitting here has got strong views about you. And he sits here to listen to an affidavit that is signed by you. You are the face of this case. Don't you think that it is actually not in the best interest of the judiciary and for the judges to go and discuss other politicians? Because if you're bringing age, at the age I was, it's immaterial to me. I'm a politician, I'm a president of an organization even at that time. I was not a leader of a crèche. I was a political leader of an organization with a rich history in this country. And for you to go as a judge to discuss another politician with another politician, that amounts to bringing the judiciary into disrepute. Because now when it comes out is, this judge holds an extreme political views about you. It doesn't matter how many years after. And when we say why, how? No, he drove all the way to come and talk about you, and he was a sitting judge. Is that not, does that help to enhance the good image of the judiciary, or in what way does it help to improve the good standing of the judiciary in society?
I don't think it creates a problem at all, Commissioner Malema. I think as a citizen, I am entitled, if violence maybe is threatened and I know somebody who can do something to prevent people being killed and so on, I think I'm entitled, even if I'm a judge, if I know that person, I'm entitled to go to that person and say, please, we don't want violence. If there is violence, ordinary people will suffer, will be killed, and of course they might not agree, but I think as a citizen, I'm entitled to do that. And I've never held any strong views against you, Commissioner Malema, political or otherwise. Actually, I have respect for you. So I've never had any strong views against you. You have a certain way of dealing with issues, a certain way of dealing with matters. Sometimes some people don't like it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ACJ. I've got a very serious problem when I raise issues and I get to be loved by everyone. I'm not money. I will never be loved by everyone. And those who brought me up politically were never loved by everyone. Fought for this country, got ill-treated to their graves. So I'm not in a business of trying to impress everybody. I'm here to pursue that which I think is right. Others will be happy, others won't be happy. It is their own baby to feed Malta Bella. I'm not in that business. Now, I want to go back to the earlier thing of meeting President Zuma in the hotel. This had to be so because we will normally interact when we meet at the opening of parliament or other government or state functions. However, there were 2 or so occasions when Mr. Zuma was not in government, when I asked for a meeting with and agreed to. When he asked for a meeting with and I agreed to him, I think that this would have been somewhere between 2005 and 2007. He was staying in a hotel in Durban and I met him. There was one time when I was also asked for a meeting with him about 13 or 14 years ago when I was still out of government. This is what we spoke about. So you remember that you met him between this and that in a hotel in Durban twice. I accept that Zuma is not Mandela, but when you come from KZN, Zuma is the Mandela of KZN. That's why you even speak about the role he played in dealing with violence in KZN. There's no way you can be called by President Zuma twice in a hotel. You remember the years, you remember that it was in a hotel, you remember he was not in government, you don't remember what you were discussing with President Zuma at that time. I know, but there is a rule here that you don't give people, you don't raise issues that we didn't raise with you before. But you, on your own volition, please, ACJ, take the country into confidence. President Zuma asked to see you twice in a hotel. You agreed to go and meet him, and you remember all of those details. The only detail in 2 meetings you don't remember is why President Zuma wanted to meet you.
Well, I certainly don't remember them, Commissioner Malema. The one that I remember, I've told you, I've told the Commission the one that I remember.
ACJ, I'm worried that it becomes very easy for you to descend into the political arena. One is these meetings that you had with President Zuma to discuss politics. 2 is these meetings that you have with ease with President Ramaphosa to discuss this and even go beyond of discussing how he's going to appear and all of that. And anyone who says Ramaphosa's appearance was staged, I'm tempted to agree with them because you met him before. And then you now have a press conference to engage politicians in public, descending into the arena. Are we going to have a Chief Justice that gets easily available to meet politicians at their own comfort? We don't know what gets to be discussed there, and when we ask, they don't remember. Will that not even put this judiciary in a more crisis than it is now? Because research has been presented here that people are losing confidence in the judiciary. With an ACJ that visits politicians with ease, I mean, I heard others saying it's easy for you to call a minister and all of that. Those things of ministers are insignificant. We're talking presidents here, so we're not talking those ministers, this and that. Presidents, whereas those that are implicated in what you are presiding over. You meet them with ease. You discuss with them with ease. It shouldn't be easy for any judge. That's my view. To be available to meet a politician. And shouldn't be easy for any politician to be available to meet any judge unless they are prepared when that matter is exposed to disclose publicly with ease what was the meeting about. I'm living here with discomfort that you are a sitting judge, you met a high-profile politician in a hotel twice. You remember all the details. The only thing that cannot be remembered is what was discussed. I don't think that helps to get you to be the CJ of our country if such small details cannot be remembered.
Commissioner.